To the ones who cut off their parents, what made you decide that you were better off without them?
What made me decide that I was better off without them? Well, it wasn't a them for me. It was only my mother. And I was better off without them, without her. I was better off without her, and my children were better off without her because she was trying to destroy our bond. How about that? Because she was exposing my little daughter, who was around 5 or 6 years old, to movies like Poltergeist and Dirty Dancing, and telling her to keep it a secret from me, because she tried to stop me from getting my GED when I was 17 years old, which would have improved my life for my daughter, that golden child that she was turning my daughter into, or attempting to, because it didn't work, because I went no contact. The way that she was creating guilt, which I didn't know at the time, for my eldest daughter, who was around 5 or 6 years old, because she treated her little brother like he didn't exist. Not being attached to somebody who literally hated me. Those things made me feel like it was a good idea. Oh, wait, you have more questions, right? Of course you do.
What made you believe that your healing could only happen without the people who raised you?
I didn't know that healing could only happen without my mother. That's what I found out as a result of no contact. In the moment, I was protecting my children. You see, the way that my mother raised me was to believe that there was something wrong with me. She told me, not just by words, by the way, that I was damaged goods, that there was something wrong with me, that I was sick in the head, that everybody knew I was sick in the head. I was 9 years old. She was sending me to someone she knew was emming me and telling me she knew what I was doing. She told me that other people felt that I should be in a psych ward. I was 11 years old, getting good grades in school, never in trouble, but I was supposed to be in a psych ward, and how she was such a wonderful mother for putting up with me, for tolerating me. That's what she said. My own family, my aunts, my uncles, my grandparents, everybody was saying about me. That's what emotional abuse looks like, by the way, just in case we're not clear. I didn't know that the healing would actually start by not being in a relationship with her, because I thought I was the source of the problem. There's more.
Because I need to ask, was it trauma? Or was it TikTok? Was it a trend? Was it pain? Or was it new age psychology?
I cut you off there. I'll let you have it in a minute. There was no internet. Oh no, your theory's falling apart. It was over 30 years ago. And guess what? There are a lot of people just like me who went no contact in their 20s who are in their 50s now. I'm 59. It wasn't a trend then. It wasn't encouraged by the internet then. It isn't a trend now. It's not encouraged by the internet now. It's encouraged, if we're going to use that word, by the behavior of the parent who isn't coming to the table to resolve conflict, will not take accountability for their present time behavior. You like to paint it like it's all about the abuse and the trauma created in childhood. Actually, trauma, it's not the trauma created. The abuse creates trauma. The harm is what makes trauma. They aren't traumatizing you, they are harming you. I don't want us to hide behind the word of trauma, since you really dislike that word and have difficulty defining it. So trauma is our reaction to something that's happened to us. So that we're clear, or been done to us, or something that we've witnessed. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that happened directly to us. It's what our brain receives that information as that defines whether or not it's traumatic or not. So let me give you an example. My mother let me know that I was damaged goods. That became a part of my core belief system, and I was traumatized by that. I was concerned that other people would see me that way. I behaved in a way that was deeply impacted by that. I would try to be perfect so people wouldn't see the damage that I was so obviously carrying around. If my mother went up to some other little kid that she had no access to on the regular, the way she did me, who was raised by loving parents and said, everybody knows you're damaged goods, that kid would look like, what are you talking about? Because that child wouldn't be traumatized by those words. That child wouldn't be impacted by those words because that child wasn't raised underneath them in this abusive, insidious way that made that traumatic. Does that help you with emotional abuse? That kid would probably tell her, go take a hike, or maybe out of politeness, if they were raised a particular way, would go tell their parents, why is that woman calling me damaged goods? What's wrong with her? Get that? No? Gosh, I kind of hope you see this video, and I kind of don't care if you do, and I realize you'll get nothing from it because you're pandering to a target audience of estranged parents to make a buck. You don't actually give a fuck. I can see that. Ooh, I'm rhyming and snarky, sparky all in one today. You have zero empathy for trauma survivors, for abuse survivors that carry trauma. You have zero empathy. The fact that you could even say things like this. Oh, I'm getting heated. Woo! Meow. Okay. Definitely snarky, sparky. It's rare that somebody lights my hair on fire like this. Let's keep going, shall we?
New age psychology telling you that every mistake your parents made is actually toxic, narcissistic, and is what hurt you. Because not all parents are monsters.
You're absolutely right. Not all parents were monsters. My mother actually legitimately is a monster. She's still walking the earth right now. Some parents did do the best they could. Some parents passed down trauma. Those parents who go to therapy because their adult child goes no contact with them, repair those relationships because they're not monsters, because they genuinely want to do better and they seek out the resources to do better. Not all estrangements are created equal. Absolutely. No estrangement, and I'll die on the hill of this one, is because of something that somebody heard on TikTok. To demean and diminish the importance and the drive that exists in our primal system of the mother-child relationship in particular by saying TikTok is that powerful, one creator, one message, or 10 or 1,000 or bajillion, is absolutely disgusting, ignorant, and reprehensible. Our first love is our parent, especially our mother, because in utero, most of the time, because there are things that people do when their babies are in utero, we all know that parent has no choice but to grow us and be a safe space because their body is biologically doing that. And then when that child is born with what is the purest of the purest, most unconditional love for that mother, their first love. And you are out here actually making it seem like a video here and there or everywhere could actually break that bond? Do you believe your own bullshit? What the actual, I'll say it, fuck. Just wow. The way that you are diminishing the experiences of people who actually do not want to be without their parents is absolutely vile. It's vile. None of us want to be adult orphans. We want parents who are safe spaces. We want parents who respect boundaries. We want parents who recognize that we're no longer children and that our relationship with them is a choice and they treat us like the adults that we are instead of like the children who were under their thumbs that we were. We want our parents to grow with us. It isn't even about the accountability from childhood. It's about what's happening in present time. And it's not difficult to listen, to own, and to respect boundaries. We see our parents do it with other people. We know they can. They choose where they do that because they don't feel as entitled or an ownership over other people. They recognize other people can walk away. And it's their lack of recognition that their children will walk away if they mistreat them. They can't conceptualize that we will do that. And when we do, they're outraged. Not all of them, not every situation, not all of them are the same. Absolutely. On a whole though, the demise of the relationship between parent and child is the responsibility of the parent. Because of the power dynamic, they created the bond that either stood the test of time or broke. And they have the ability to repair that bond. Not 100% of the time. We have to acknowledge that there are other things that happen, mental health, whatever, that create estrangements as well. But this is not that. This is not what you're talking about here. So I'll address what you're talking about here. The rhetoric. Okay. Let's carry on. I'm going to try to be calmer. No, I'm not. Fuck that. Who am I kidding?
Some were just human, and they loved you, and they fed you, and they stayed up nights when you were sick and tried to do better with what they were given, which, in most cases, was far less.
Not every parent fed their children, and not every parent woke up at night. Not every parent did the things that you're talking about. And the ones who did, guess what? I'm a parent, mother of 3, grandmother to 2. My daughter estranged from me over 20 years ago. It lasted less than 3 years, like 2-ish years. And I owned my stuff. I respect her boundaries. I respect all of my children's boundaries. We repaired that relationship. She asks me for parenting advice today with my grandchildren, who one just went off to university and the other one is not far behind. I need a minute. I can't even remember what you were saying. Oh my goodness. Oh, contractual obligation. The things that we do when we choose to bring children into the world isn't their responsibility, and it's not something for them to be grateful for. They shouldn't have to be grateful for being here. They didn't ask to be here. We should be grateful that we were blessed to have children, and we should have done better when we had them, honored them, treated them well, and been in a position where we did our job in terms of building ourselves as human beings to do better. And when I say we, I actually mean me. I was 17 years old when I had my first daughter. I was in a relationship with my mother, who I would subsequently estrange from at the age of 23. In that time, I didn't go to therapy. I didn't grow up like emotionally. I didn't emotionally mature. I didn't do the things that she deserved me to do. That is on me. It doesn't matter what my circumstances were. That is on me. And until we can take that sort of accountability and understand that our problems, that our children were born, like we had these problems when they were born, have no bearing on what we did or didn't provide in terms of it's our job to do better, we won't do better. That's what keeps people stuck. And by the by, years later, all of my children have come to me and said, gosh, Mom, we really recognize everything that you went through. Before I wrote my book, before they read about my experiences, and they learned about some of those experiences, many of them in my book, because I didn't weaponize my trauma as a reason to traumatize them. I passed down trauma. There were times I didn't do a good job as a mom. That doesn't mean I wasn't a good mom. That doesn't mean I was a bad mom. It means that I was emotionally immature and doing the best that I could with the information that I had at the time. That isn't synonymous with not hearing your kids, abusing your kids, misusing your kids, and all of that. The way that we own that along the way and when our children become adults is what dictates whether or not that relationship will stand the test of time. Even if it has some breakdowns here and there, it's what dictates what that relationship, that outcome will be. A child does not have the ability to contribute to that foundation. They just don't. And when they become adults, Then they get to choose whether or not they want to be there. And if they don't, whose fault is that? And by fault, I mean, who should be held accountable for that? And there's a gray area. There's the area where people do the love that they know. They marry a spouse who is part of a narcissistic family system, and their children are damaged by that, and those relationships are damaged by that. At the end of the day, if we marry somebody doing the love we know, that's still not the child's fault, and we're still accountable, unfortunately. That is what it is. I did that. I married somebody when I was 19 who was committing domestic violence, physically, mostly. Emotional too, but a lot of physical violence. My child didn't ask for that. I did that because I didn't go to therapy and repair myself. It's my fault. It's not my fault what he did to me. It is my responsibility is what I mean, who I made babies with. It's my responsibility at the end of the day. Other people may not agree. I'm not blaming myself. I'm not victim shaming myself. I'm not victim blaming myself. I'm taking accountability. I don't have a lack of self-compassion. I know why I did what I did. And I also know that it wasn't my children's fault that I made those decisions with the knowledge I had at the time. That's on me. That was on me to prepare better and do better. It just was. There's more. Oh, and by the way, that doesn't make me a bad person or a bad mom. Okay? Because I made bad choices. That isn't about my character. And that's the other thing that estranged parents have difficulty with. And a lot of times it comes from being heavily criticized as a child, made to feel like they can't do anything right. And so they feel like if somebody says, you hurt me, that what they're really saying, what they hear is, I'm a terrible person. It comes from a place that they need to heal so that when their adult child tries to have that dialogue, they can receive it as what it is. It's not that they're saying you're a piece of garbage. It's that they're actually saying, I'm trusting you with my feelings. Can you please show up? I want to repair this relationship. If I didn't care, I wouldn't be bringing it up, looking for you to help me heal my wounds. Think about that. They're showing you respect and trust by coming to you. And you're deciding from your own wounds to receive it as an attack. Okay. I feel like I'm like on a soapbox today. Oof, she's got me riled up.
And now they sit there quietly, like checking your social media, checking their phones, hoping for a glimpse of your face, not even knowing that if they're going to hear from you again. And you say that you're protecting your peace, but real healing doesn't erase people. It humbles you enough to have the hard conversations. And kids, I want you to hear me when I say this. If you think healing means cutting off your parents or being distant, you're not healing. You're repeating the very disconnection that hurt you in the first place, so you have to break the cycle, not the bond.
We didn't break the bond. And the disconnection, it happened early on. We had to disconnect to survive the hatred from our own parent or the abuse or the passing down of trauma, the pain that was being caused. Let's just put it that way. Let's put a blanket over it, right? It's not about protecting our peace. They love this, right? And it's not that I don't protect my peace. I do, in terms of the relationships that I choose. So I treat myself with cherish. I value myself. I create my own safety. I make sure that I pay attention to my early warning signs, my mechanisms, my triggers, my triggered behaviors. I know myself really well. I see myself safe, seen, and cherish. And how I protect my peace is by being in relationships with people who provide me with the same thing I provide for myself, and I also provide for them. It happens that there are parents who don't provide those things. And so if you want to call that protecting peace, okay. Your very simplistic attitude about, did it get caused by pop psychology? And no, what's getting caused here is more trauma by you, a coach. What are you? This is just so unethical in my mind. Like she is pandering to I've said it before, the estranged parents, so that she can gain her own supply, so she can be the queen bee of all that is right and good. And you were a good parent. Your lousy child threw you away. Let me help you heal by staying on that hill and dying on it alone without your adult children. That's what she's doing. Reprehensible. Oh my goodness. It's rare that somebody gets me so wound up, but I just am like sickened by creators like this who really take advantage of people's wounds to make a buck. Unbelievable. It's just, has she never read The Body Keeps the Score? Like, at least become trauma informed. If you're out there in the world doing any kind of coaching whatsoever, please become trauma informed so that you don't accidentally, cause harm to somebody. Because I know there's a lot of coaches out there, a lot of people in the therapy field out there who really want to do good in the world. And then there are people out there who are parasitic and just trying to find a way to make a buck. And I'll die on this hill. She is the latter of the group. Based on the way she speaks, the way that she sells programs, the way she's reinvented herself. She's looking out there to go, okay, what can I make money off of? She has zero empathy for the adult children and what they go through. And I'll prove it in the next video and the final video that I film about her. I don't even care what she says next. Unless somebody requests me to do a video on her, you send it to me and you really, really want it. I'm protecting my peace.